In the United States, a staggering 60% of high-profile marital breakdowns stem directly from fundamental disagreements over child-rearing and the fierce battle over privacy. For Harry, the ghost of 1997 is not merely a memory, it is a mandate. Having watched his mother, Diana, hounded to her death by the relentless lens of a camera, his singular mission became ensuring Archie and Lilibet never felt that same scorching glare. But a massive cultural canyon has torn open between him and Meghan. Her American dream is built entirely on the currency of visibility. In her world, if it isn't captured, curated, and captioned, it simply doesn't exist. This clash between British royal reticence and the American influencer impulse has reached a boiling point that no PR team on earth can cool. Insiders suggest the tipping point was Meghan's calculated move to weave the children into her ever-expanding lifestyle brand. For Harry, using royal-adjacent children to sell a curated aesthetic was nothing short of a betrayal, the very reason they fled the United Kingdom. He didn't leave the firm to become a product. He left to become a person. Yet now he finds himself trapped inside a Hollywoodized version of the exact institutional exploitation he once claimed to despise. And while Meghan was busy engineering her next content drop, Harry was playing a far older and far more sophisticated game. Within recent weeks, the landscape shifted dramatically. While she allegedly seethed in Montecito, Harry stood on the ground in Ukraine, a trip coordinated not by any Hollywood agent, but by the seasoned hands of Buckingham Palace itself. This was Operation Thaw in full effect, a cold, calculated move by King Charles to draw the prodigal son back into the diplomatic fold, leaving the Duchess stranded and isolated in her California mansion. But that is merely the tip of the iceberg. The real story lives in the paper trail. Evidence emerging from Montecito reveals that Harry's personal legal team has been doing far more than exploring options. They have been spotted in high-level consultations with boutique real estate brokers, searching for something the public would never expect. A modest, quintessentially American cottage. A strategic downgrade. The move of a man preparing to strip away the excess and ambition of his wife's empire. Do not, however, mistake simplicity for vulnerability. The most explosive revelation is Harry's financial firewall. While the world assumed Meghan would walk away with half of a $60 million fortune, a deep dive into California's Family Code Section 770 tells an entirely different story. Harry has spent the past year meticulously ring-fencing his inheritance from Diana and the Queen Mother as separate property, resisting the commingling trap that has financially destroyed many a wealthy spouse. Every cent is guarded by offshore trusts, shielded by an ancient sovereign agreement that even American courts may find completely untouchable. Meghan is now facing a brutal reality. 50% of nothing is nothing. The Montecito mansion, a loan from Tyler Perry, represents debt, not equity. The Netflix deal is crumbling beneath low ratings and creative exhaustion. And the Duchess title itself is a courtesy, one that evaporates the moment a marriage certificate is voided. What is unfolding is not simply the end of a marriage. It is the cold, calculated dismantling of the Sussex brand and a masterclass in institutional survival. By the time every layer is peeled back, the world will understand why Meghan Markle is no longer the architect of this narrative. She has become its primary victim, facing a future where she loses the title, the fortune, and the very children she tried to transform into a brand. Meghan has crossed a line that Harry spent his entire life trying to draw. As a man still deeply scarred by the predatory paparazzi culture that hunted his mother to her tragic end, his primary mission has always been to shield his children from the lens. He sought a life of quiet dignity and natural development, a stark, almost painful contrast to the performative existence Meghan is reportedly engineering around them. The irony is staggering. Harry fled the United Kingdom to escape the institutional exploitation of the crown, only to discover he had accidentally enabled a rebranded version of the very same exploitation, now dressed in a Hollywood gloss. That realization has quietly transformed their Montecito mansion from a dream home into a gilded cage of resentment. While Meghan remains fixated on the aesthetics of their shared brand, Harry has already begun a silent and clinical transition toward independence. And this is no longer the realm of whisper and rumor. Tangible evidence from Montecito confirms a dramatic shift in strategy. His personal legal representatives have been identified working discreetly with specialized real estate brokers, not in search of another sprawling estate or celebrity compound, but something far more telling. A modest, quintessentially American cottage. This deliberate move toward simplicity signals a man shedding the financial and social weight of his wife's ambitions. It is a strategic retreat, designed to carve out a stable, grounded environment for himself and his children, far from the suffocating pressure of Meghan's commercial machine. More significantly, it neutralizes the narrative that he needs her Hollywood income to survive. The moral and physical high ground in any looming custody battle now belongs to him. The power dynamic in Montecito has visibly shifted. Meghan is left managing the optics of a crumbling empire, while Harry quietly lays the foundation for a life rooted in the values he once stood for, before the Hollywood fog consumed everything. The cottage search is not a sign of defeat. It is the opening move of a long and calculated endgame. It is Harry's ultimate liberation. Yet the most sophisticated dimension of his withdrawal is financial. Beneath the surface of Californian sunshine and seeming drift, Harry has erected an ironclad fortress around his personal wealth. His reported $60 million fortune, largely built from inheritances left by his late mother Diana and his great-grandmother the Queen Mother, has been meticulously classified as separate property under California Family Code Section 770. This single legal statute is his most powerful weapon in any divorce proceeding. It explicitly protects assets acquired through inheritance or gift from the standard 50-50 community property split, regardless of when they were received. The greatest danger for high-net-worth individuals in California, however, is commingling, the moment inherited funds blend with marital income, such as proceeds from their Netflix or Spotify deals, making legal separation nearly impossible. Harry, displaying a level of foresight that suggests high-level institutional guidance, has reportedly kept his inheritance accounts in complete isolation. A verified paper trail of bank statements confirms his $60 million has never been touched by marital expenses or joint investments. Beyond that, intelligence from those close to the prince reveals that a significant portion of his wealth has been moved into sophisticated offshore trust structures based in the United Kingdom and other protected jurisdictions, effectively placing his capital beyond the reach of any California divorce court entirely. And then there is the mansion itself. Marketed to the world as a symbol of Sussex success, the Montecito estate is, in legal reality, a liability. Acquired through a complex loan arrangement involving Tyler Perry, it represents substantial debt, not a divisible asset. Meghan is now staring down a future where she cannot claim half of a fortune she never helped build. 50% of nothing remains nothing. The involvement of the British Crown adds a layer of protection Meghan almost certainly never anticipated. In the United Kingdom, royal marriage agreements and the preservation of sovereign heritage are treated not as private matters, but as affairs of national importance and cultural legacy. Government-level protocols exist specifically to prioritize the integrity of the royal estate over standard civil divorce claims. This means Harry's financial security is not merely personal, it is backed by the full institutional weight of the British state. Should any legal conflict arise, Harry commands access to the monarchy's most formidable legal minds, armed with centuries of precedent that modern marriage law simply cannot override. Meghan's position is weakened further by the spectacular collapse of their joint commercial ventures. With the $100 million Netflix deal spiraling into deep uncertainty and their personal branding projects failing to gain meaningful traction, the community income she might have claimed is rapidly evaporating. Harry's deliberate separation of his royal inheritance from their Hollywood earnings has left Meghan dangerously exposed, realizing far too late that the prince has been quietly preparing for this moment for years. He is ready to present a transparent, clinical accounting of his finances that leaves absolutely no room for argument. By the time the legal dust settles, the world will see that Harry was never the passive participant the media so eagerly portrayed. He has weaponized royal tradition and modern legal strategy to ensure that while the marriage ends, his financial legacy survives untouched. This is a masterclass in wealth preservation, engineered to leave Meghan with nothing but the mounting debts of a failed Hollywood experiment. Harry is not simply leaving a relationship. He is reclaiming the financial sovereignty he nearly surrendered in the fog of celebrity, while anchoring his children's future to his own secured wealth and leaving Meghan to navigate the ruins of the Sussex brand entirely alone. The geopolitical repositioning of Harry has been nothing short of radical, and it signals a definitive return to the institutional embrace of the British monarchy. Nothing made this clearer than his high-profile diplomatic visit to Kyiv, Ukraine, between April 15th and 23rd, 2026. While the media was steered toward viewing it as a spontaneous act of a rogue prince, the logistical reality tells a far more consequential story. This was no solo venture arranged by a Hollywood PR firm. It was a precision-engineered operation coordinated by the veteran advisors of King Charles at Buckingham Palace, internally referred to as Operation Thaw. Its purpose was singular and ruthless: reintegrate Harry into the global stage as a credible statesman and a true son of the House of Windsor, while leaving Meghan stranded and irrelevant in California. The presence of the official royal rota and prominent correspondents like Chris Shipp is the smoking gun of palace involvement. The royal rota does not follow a private citizen on a whim. They move only when the palace authorizes a narrative. By orchestrating this visit, King Charles sent an unmistakable message to the international community and to Meghan herself. The prince is being brought back into the fold, and his road to redemption runs through the crown, not through his wife's content calendar. In Kiev, Harry was received with full diplomatic honors, championing veteran mental health and the Invictus Games, causes where his genuine passion intersects perfectly with British government interests. It was a masterclass in soft power, deliberately designed to contrast his dignified service against the crumbling celebrity brand decaying back in California. And while Harry was being welcomed as a hero on the front lines of global diplomacy, the silence from Montecito was deafening. Meghan remained marooned in California, reportedly furious as she watched her husband reclaim the world stage entirely without her. She is no longer the director of a story. She is a spectator, watching helplessly from the sidelines as the very institution she once publicly dismantled now hands her husband the global platform she has spent years desperately failing to build for herself. The significance of the palace's involvement extends far beyond mere optics. This is a direct signal that King Charles has handed Harry a personal roadmap for a life after Meghan, and that reconciliation between father and son is not merely possible, but already quietly underway. Harry now negotiates from a position of extraordinary strength, backed by an institution with 1,000 years of experience in managing crisis, protecting its own, and outlasting its enemies. Meghan, by devastating contrast, finds herself increasingly isolated. Her Hollywood allies are quietly drifting away as her commercial value diminishes and her relevance fades. The Kiev trip served as a brutal reminder that Harry's true currency has always been his royal blood and his capacity for service, two things Meghan can neither replicate nor control. The timing of this royal intervention is nothing short of impeccable. As divorce rumors reach fever pitch, the Crown is sending an unmistakable message: Harry has a home, a purpose, and a powerful support network waiting for him in the United Kingdom. He no longer needs Meghan's approval or her media connections to matter. He is once again a prince of the realm, guided by the finest minds in the British establishment. The palace achieved in a matter of weeks what her expensive PR teams failed to deliver in years. That alone exposes the fragility of the Hollywood dream and the enduring, almost terrifying power of the British monarchy. By the time Harry returned from Ukraine, the power dynamic had been fundamentally and permanently altered. He is no longer the defensive husband waging war against his own family on his wife's behalf. He is a man who has rediscovered his heritage, his duty, and himself. The Sussex brand as a joint entity is finished, and Meghan is being left to face the wreckage of their failed American experiment entirely alone. The impending collapse of the Sussex union signals something far more devastating than a quiet divorce. It heralds a catastrophic and total unraveling for Meghan. The meticulously constructed image of the Duchess is dissolving rapidly, exposing the harsh reality beneath. And the legal landscape ahead is overwhelmingly tilted against her. Among the most devastating blows will be the loss of her royal identity. Following the precedent set by Sarah Ferguson after her split from Prince Andrew, Meghan will almost certainly be stripped of the right to call herself a duchess the moment the marriage is legally dissolved. That title was never hers by birth or independent merit. It was a courtesy, granted solely as the wife of Harry and maintained entirely at the pleasure of the monarch. Without it, she is reduced to being a former television actress in a city with a notoriously short memory for yesterday's stars. This is not merely a blow to her ego. It is a fatal wound to her commercial viability. Her entire business model, the lifestyle brand as ever, her media production ambitions, her global profile, was constructed on the foundation of royal association. Without the official seal of the monarchy, Meghan loses the unique selling point that once made her a $100 million asset to global streaming giants. The decay is already visible. Her Netflix partnership has reached a point of severe instability, with her lifestyle content sidelined from the main platform and her polo reality series drawing dismal ratings and sharp critical backlash. The Sussex name, once a premium brand, is now widely regarded as a liability, synonymous with high drama and low returns. But the deepest wound of all cuts into the most personal arena imaginable, the custody of Archie and Lilibet. This is Meghan's most dangerous vulnerability. In a California family court, Harry holds a formidable hand. His offshore trusts and the quiet backing of the British Crown give him the financial endurance to sustain a legal battle indefinitely, for however long it takes. More critically, Meghan's own conduct may become her most damaging witness. Her repeated efforts to commercialize the children, positioning them as props in lifestyle campaigns and PR narratives, stand in direct opposition to Harry's documented and passionate commitment to their privacy and psychological well-being. A family court judge tasked with determining the best interests of two young children may view her approach to parenting as precisely the kind of brand-driven exposure that causes lasting harm. Harry can present himself as the stable, protective parent offering his children dignity and security, while the courtroom record paints a very different picture of the woman sitting across from him. The social isolation closing in around Meghan is becoming absolute. While Harry is being welcomed back into the diplomatic embrace of King Charles, she is increasingly regarded as persona non grata among the very Hollywood elite she once courted so aggressively. The power players of Los Angeles are nothing if not pragmatic. They gravitate toward success and quietly abandon controversy that yields no profit. As the Sussex brand fractures beyond repair, the invitations have dried up, and the influential allies who once stood beside her are moving on to more stable associations without so much as a backward glance. Meghan is facing a future where she is not only divorced from a prince, but divorced from the very fame she sacrificed her privacy to obtain. The ultimate irony of her journey is this: by attempting to modernize and monetize the monarchy, she has engineered her own spectacular downfall. She now stands to lose the title that gave her status, the fortune that gave her security, and the public respect that gave her a voice. In the eyes of both the British public and the global media, she is being cast as the sole architect of her own misfortune. A woman who played a high-stakes game of royal chess and walked straight into checkmate. Harry has prepared his exit with military precision, leaving the Duchess to navigate the ruins of their Montecito life entirely alone. This is the moment of reckoning, where the Hollywood dream ends and the cold, clinical reality of a royal divorce begins. The final act of the Sussex saga is unfolding as a ruthless and methodical dismantling of a partnership that once promised to reshape the modern monarchy forever. As 2026 draws the curtain on this high-stakes drama, the contrast between Harry's strategic ascent and Meghan's accelerating decline has never been more stark or more brutal. Harry has executed a masterclass in institutional survival. He secured his $60 million inheritance behind ironclad separate property protections and offshore trusts, effectively neutralizing her financial leverage entirely. His search for a modest Montecito cottage is the physical manifestation of his desire to shed the toxic excess of the Sussex brand and return to the values of privacy and service that defined him long before the Hollywood fog descended. And through Operation Thaw, Buckingham Palace has rehabilitated his image in weeks, achieving what her expensive PR machinery could not deliver in years. Meghan, meanwhile, is left to face the consequences of a strategy that consistently chose visibility over substance. Her commercialization of their children, the collapse of the Netflix partnership, and the failure of her personal branding ventures have converged into a perfect storm of vulnerability. The industry has delivered its verdict. It has no appetite for a monarchy stripped of its dignity and repackaged as content. The Sussex name is no longer a premium. It is a warning label. Harry's breaking point was always inevitable. A man haunted by the memory of cameras hunting his mother through Parisian tunnels was never going to surrender his children to the same machine indefinitely. He has reclaimed his narrative, and in doing so, exposed every fragile seam in the world Meghan built around him. With King Charles at his back and the full resources of the British state quietly supporting him, Harry is prepared to fight a long, calculated, and patient battle for his children, for his name, and for the legacy he nearly lost. Meghan, increasingly isolated and commercially diminished, faces a road paved with uncertainty and very few allies left willing to walk it with her. This story, at its core, is about the enduring power of tradition over the fleeting seduction of modern fame. Harry has traded the illusion of influence for the reality of service. From the sprawling Montecito mansion to a humble cottage, from Hollywood red carpets to the diplomatic halls of Kiev, his journey represents not a retreat, but a liberation. He has reclaimed his soul. For Meghan, the road ahead demands reinvention, But this time without the crown, without the prince, and without the fortune that once seemed so firmly within her grasp. The curtain is falling on the Sussex experiment, and as the stage finally clears, only one of them is left standing, dignity intact, legacy secured, and future unwritten.